Dr. Michael Capra from Our Lady's Children's Hospital in Dublin has seen the power of the Barretstown programmes firsthand, having volunteered at Barretstown on a number of occasions. Here, he talks about his belief that the unique therapeutic recreation programme provided at Barretstown forms a valuable part of the continuum of care for children affected by serious illness.
Barretstown provides us with a fantastic opportunity to provide a continuum of care for our children. We as the medical profession, start our introduction to the family at the diagnosis stage. We unfortunately have to deliver bad news with that diagnosis, with the realization of a diagnosis of malignancy or a cancer. At that point, the patient's life and their family's life changes and will never be the same again. And then we take the patient through a whole continuum of care, going through a whole gamut of treatment that require a very time-specific and an inflexible itinerary of treatment. And that's in the background of patients who fluctuate between light and dark, in comparison to hope and despair, and hoping to try and get through the whole diagnosis of cancer with the light at the end of the tunnel hopefully getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And in the majority of patients, that's what happens. Towards the end of treatment, hopefully when our patients are in complete remission, we then undergo a whole a long involved process of continued surveillance, making sure the tumour doesn't return, but also in an attempt to ameliorate and minimize the side effects of treatment. And it's at that point that we believe Barretstown comes into the continuum of care, because we want to transition our patients and their families back into the community, back into their life, where they regain their independence, their confidence, and rediscover their self-esteem, which is absolutely crucial. So we really see Barretstown as a ward of our unit, obviously not geographically within the hospital, but just a few miles out in the country. And through that unit, the Barretstown unit, we can let the patients travel the whole circle from diagnosis back into transition and rediscover themselves. I really believe our patients, or the children and their families, by and large, all of them should go to Barretstown, purely to help them in this transition back into a normal life, and to say goodbye to the structured medical intense treatment that they've received, and get them back into a life where they are independent people. Barretstown gives it all to us in a short space of time, in a structured environment that is delivering what we call therapeutic recreation. And the whole service of Barretstown is delivered by professional people, albeit with fun. It's serious fun, and behind all of that, there's an underlying message of attempting to push our children, not our children, our patients, into achieving success and pushing the boundaries that they never thought possible that they could achieve. And in doing so, that whole success can be reflected on by our professional people in Barretstown, our carers and the whole team. And the patients then reflect on, well, they really can do something that they never thought possible to do. And that self-discovery and that self-esteem and confidence is the crucial bit to Barretstown. And therefore, I would highly recommend, and that's just not my endorsement, it's by all of my colleagues here in our department too, is that Barretstown will give us that final continuum of care, arguably the most important step at the end of treatment. The mere fact that our patients can go there and have such fun and come back saying, wow, I really didn't realize I could do that. Geez, I've got a sense of fun. I can achieve things I didn't even realize I can achieve. That's the hidden message of Barretstown, of therapeutic recreation, of pushing our patients to achieve goals that they never even thought possible, all in a mask of having absolute fun. if there is medical attention required, the MedShed is there 24 hours a day to supply that medical and nursing coverage, as well as a 24/7 connection with us here back in the hospital. And therefore, if there's any condition in Barretstown that our MedShed cannot handle, the patients then are transported to us literally a few miles down the road to the hospital, and we can therefore take over the care if necessary. And the majority of time that is not necessary at all. Our campers remain campers devoid of medical intervention, and that's crucial. As a pediatric oncologist, I've had multiple patients through a whole continuum of care, right from the diagnosis to the end of treatment, and I can honestly say patients who go through Barretstown have such an advantage in being able to understand their inner self in a much greater depth and to a much greater understanding than patients who haven't been to Barretstown. I think arguably the most impressive example is when a mother told me she dropped off her son in Barretstown. 10 days later, they picked up a boy they didn't even recognize was their son. He was beaming from ear to ear. He had a sense of, hey Mom, I can do it. You should have heard this. I climbed the ropes. I canoed across the lake. I used a bow and arrow. Just absolute independent fun. And for that reason, I believe Barretstown is a true example of what we can offer our patients.